Welcome, everybody, to the Championship Check-In podcast. D-Mob, happy internet. Look at Parkin's face. Look, he loves the international break. You look very refreshed and chilled, Mr. Parkin. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, had a good few days in France,
Oh.
which was lovely. And then flew back into rainy Gatwick on Saturday morning and straight to AFC Wimbledon. So, which was great. Obviously, managed by my dear friend, Johnny Jackson, and they got a 4-0 thumper. Which was nice.
I had a look, Sam, for some work the other day on that Wikipedia list of the longest serving managers. He's quite high up there now, Johnny. Yeah.
Yeah, they were good, really impressive. Because obviously I've been, following them closely over the last few years, and took a while for him to get them going and change the squad around. But yeah, they look like a serious outfit at that level now. So got a chance this year, I would suggest. So that was good fun, yeah. And looking forward to this today.
Brilliant stuff. So no games to talk about, Sam. So we are going to select our championship team of the season so far. So the whole point of this, guys, is just to celebrate who is performing well. Please don't take it too seriously, okay? Because we know some people want 8 players from the team they support in the team and they get very upset. Sam, that is not going to happen because I have restricted the both of us to 1 pick per club. Are we going to do a manager as well?
Is he got to be from a club that's not got a player in the team?
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll put you on the spot for that at the end. You can have a think about that at the end. So, guys, in the comments now, Sam and I have both gone 4-2-3-1, but you can choose whatever formation you see fit. 1 player only per club. I promise it makes it more interesting. It makes it more fun. Sam, we agree on 4 of our selections, okay? And one of them is the goalkeeper. So let's start with Derby County's Zetterstrom, who makes both of our selections. Why is he in there?
I'm thinking about, obviously, players I've seen live. I'm also thinking about impacts on clubs in terms of new signings, and also teams that have overachieved, I suppose, the pre-season expectations. So I think Derby and Zetterstrom would probably fall into a couple of those categories. They have to be watertight at home. They're going to get the majority of their points clearly in front of their own supporters, and they've been brilliant in getting clean sheets and doing exactly that at home. So, and some of the saves have been,
they give up chances though, don't they, Sam?
They will do, especially. Yeah, so they're going to need him. They're going to need him to have some colossal games. And I wouldn't say he was overly stretched against QPR, but that Middlesbrough game, was he in goal for that one? Anyway, there's been a few games where he's been really called upon. The only other ones that I would have put in the mix, who are unfortunate not to make my team, would have been Lawrence Figaro at Swansea. And obviously Michael Cooper, who I've been a long time admirer of at Sheffield United.
You've only got 1 Blades pick, Sam.
We've definitely been in the conversation. If I can just digress for a minute, I like the 10 at Derby, who I've what have I pronounced him? Hoodvine. Yeah, I've liked him, and David Ozo.
Like Ruud Gullit.
Ruud Gullit, yeah. And David Ozo in midfield, who I think is now injured, but at 19, I know he's at Palace, but to come in and have the impact he's had, I think he's played 5 games, but now injured, and that's going to be a big miss for him. So he was the other Derby player in my thinking, but yeah, Zetterstrom for me is quite a simple one.
We agree, Sam, on both of our wingers, and they are Willie Gnonto of Leeds down the right-hand side and Borja Sainz of Norwich down the left-hand side. If I can speak about Gnonto, Sam, obviously, bit of a sinking ship, and Somerville goes, Ruter goes. Obviously, Aronson comes back, but Gnonto really, left there now with a big job to pick up the goals and assists and the numbers that Chris Somerville was putting up last season. And the one game I wanted to speak about was Sheffield Wednesday away. It was just a mature performance because he's been, impetuous. I think maybe he had some bad advice, was our understanding last year, with the way a potential exit was kind of dealt with, let's just say. And I think he looks ready to go. And frankly, there's not that much. I was thinking about Bogle for Leeds, possibly in the right back spot, but I think Nonto is sound for my Leeds pick. And what else can you say about Sainz? He has to be in there with those goal contributions, doesn't he?
Quick correction. Zetterstrom wasn't in goal for that game. It was Vickers, that Middlesbrough game, early part of the season. But anyway, my point stand. Sainz has got to be in there, I think, for his return at the moment in terms of the goal threat, the assist, but, the confidence that he's playing with. And I think the consistency as well, when you're talking about someone like him who's been showing us some brilliant moments over the last 12 months and capable of the spectacular, but to be doing it so consistently. He's playing with a swagger at the moment. And I spoke on the last podcast about that relationship with Josh Sargent. And that's blossoming. And, when you've got that kind of combination between two of your top players, that can be incredibly powerful. But I think throughout the spine, really, of Norwich's team, I think everywhere. I think the fullback, Fisher, was in my initial original team that I sent you. You could have a shout for Sargent, absolutely. So Norwich are, full of top performers at the moment, but Sainz absolutely has got to be in there. And I think Nonto, it's not as simple as him having all the attributes and the quality and being able to turn it on, especially given he probably feels he should be playing at a higher level. So there's no guarantee, there's no given that he's going to be one of the best players in the Championship, but his performances to this point have been incredibly eye-catching. I love his movement. He's not set in one position, which maybe would have been a criticism sometimes with Daniel Farke's teams. They can be a little bit wedded to the 4-2-3-1, but I think he pops up all over the pitch, and it's that variety that is very challenging for opposition defences. So, I think the two wide players, I don't think we can really stray anywhere else. What more, maybe? He was in my thinking, what more?
Fellows.
Fellows, quite a couple of games maybe for both of them, but the way they started, unbelievable. What more? He probably doesn't get in too many of these teams, or maybe doesn't catch the eye like the other ones, because he's a hard worker and he's a grafter, but he's effective. So he should be absolutely mentioned this morning as we're doing it, and he's been brilliantly consistent.
Absolutely. Last one we agree on, and obviously Sam and I have already used a Derby pick, a Leeds pick, and a Norwich pick, which particularly pertains to Josh Sargent, who I guess a lot of people would put as their Norwich player, would hope to put, but maybe can't because they've picked Sainz. We've both gone for Josh Maja, and I've got to give you a bit of credit here, Sam, because I didn't see this, and you did. I didn't think we'd be talking about, coming into round 10 and he's your guy for, a number 9. But you've been across this from the beginning, Sam.
Yeah, it's someone I've always kept tabs on, obviously, because I just thought he was, a young player that had huge potential, and there was massive expectation on his shoulders, and he's not maybe had the right fit in terms of a club. I don't think of West Brom creating bundles of chances consistently, maybe, because I just think of them being incredibly well coached, and probably defensively that's been their strong suit, the last couple of years under Corberan. So he's been incredibly clinical, because I don't think he's passing up too many opportunities. I love that ability to finish one touch, either foot, and also he looks a decent size now, Josh Maja. I used to think of him as being quite a diminutive little forward. I think he probably bulked up a little bit in his teenage years, and he looks like someone you can play the ball in and be confident that he's going to pin the centre halves, keep hold of it. He's looked to be, an important piece of this West Bromwich Albion jigsaw as they go in their pursuit of promotion. The missing piece. He's been excellent, and you'd probably say Josh Sargent might give a little bit more all round. I think that's he probably stretches the game more, is a little bit more all action. But at the moment, you could not argue that Maja is the one that you want a chance to fall to. Sargent is missing chances. Maja is is the opposite at the moment. He is particularly fruitful in front of goal.
Right, let's see the ones where we disagree on then, Sam. So we'll go to fullback first of all. And I have used my Sunderland pick, and you could have had 3 or 4 different Sunderland players, to put Dennis Serkin at left back, Sam. I've done them twice on the watch-alongs. He's been excellent, and he picks up some lovely inside forward positions as well under Regis Lebris. And I have gone for Ryan Andrews, who we've picked out a couple of times in the kind of youngster teams. But I think given what Tom Cleverley's done and given Watford are in the top 6, I wanted to put a Watford player in. So Serkin and Andrews for me, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with Serkin. I think he's been one of the most outstanding players in the division this season. And as you rightly say there, when you watch him live, he's a very good athlete. I think gets up and down. It's eye-catching the way he moves with the ball. But his decision-making on the ball and his ability on the ball has been top class this season. So he is probably the most unfortunate bench warmer in my squad because I just can't get him in there. And it'll all become evident a little bit later. So my fullbacks are a little bit rogue, but bear with me. So
I love rogue parking, by the way.
I'll start with my left back. I think this player's been outstanding. He's a left-sided centre-half, really, but I'm going for Kieran Brown at Oxford.
I'm glad we got an Oxford player in, Sam, because we couldn't get Goodrum in either, could we?
No, Goodrum's been excellent. Again, a young player that I was aware of through a couple of his performances in the Cup, maybe 2 or 3 seasons ago when he caught the eye. But I think Brown's been outstanding. I really doubted whether they were going to be able to play the type of football they have. And some of that would have been down to the defenders who obviously have the majority. Well, they have the most touches probably of any position on the pitch. And he has looked so comfortable on the ball. It's obviously an international. He's a threat in the opposition's box, but defensively incredibly strong, aggressive. And it's probably that, the aggression, but with the calmness and stepping up into the Championship. I thought some of these players are going to be well short. And he would have been maybe in that category. He's been anything but. And I think he's played left back the last couple of games. So sorry, Kieran, you're going to have to do a bit of a job for me out on the left-hand side. But yeah, credit to him and his teammates, the way they've started. And on the right-hand side, I'm smirking. I was at the Luton game, I think, recently. And every time I'm at the Den over the last year or so, this player, Ryan Leonard, plays obviously nominally in different areas of the pitch, but he's been a permanent right back really for Neil Harris. And I think Danny McNamara is a good young player.
I do, yeah.
But he's not getting in the team at right back in front of Ryan Leonard. And I think, yeah, just very, very reliable. When you give him a job to do, a bit of a defensive job on a talented, threatening opposition winger, he's your man for the job. I know he's a real leader there as well. And I just think he's had a terrific start to the season, signed a new contract, 32 now. Listen, my fullbacks ain't going to move much. I'm telling you, that's going to be a back four that are going to stay where they are and let the forward players go and play. So I had a bit of a problem at fullback, but I hope I've argued my case sufficiently.
Very much so. Who have you got at centre-back, Sam? I can see you've used one of your Sheffield United picks here.
Well, I just want 2 blokes with the same forename. So I'm going for Harry Souttar on the right-hand side. And obviously they've got some incredible talent going the other way, but that hasn't necessarily been all evident to us at the start of this season. Their strong suit, if you like, has been based on incredible stingy defence. And we've already spoken about the goalkeeper. And I think Souttar is someone who's always had his admirers and huge potential. But maybe, again, like Madja a few seconds ago, he's finally, at a place where he's valued and the performances have been incredibly eye-catching from him. Always liked him since he broke through onto the scene many a year ago now. But, they're looking very, very good defensively. And I just don't think at this stage, listen, I think Hamer is possibly one of the best players in the division and could be maybe the most impactful. Likewise, I think Raksaki's terrifically talented. O'Hare, I don't think any of them probably.
Vinicius Souza was on my short list as well.
Arblaster as well.
Yeah, they got a few, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, these guys across the season will probably be, 3 or 4 of them in the team in the season. But I think right now I want to focus on the defensive stability, because that's the clean sheets, the most eye-catching thing right now.
And his partner?
I'm going for Harry Darling at Swansea. And maybe this is a little bit of, what's the terminology, long-term bias. I've always liked this lad. I want Swansea again to be spoken of here this morning about their defensive work and their defensive record so far. Conceded 6, have they not, in 9 games, which they deserve a nod. I couldn't get Vigouroux in because I wanted Zetterstrom. Listen, it was a bit of a toss of a coin between him and Cabango. I just think Harry Darling will fit, obviously, incredibly well the way Luke Williams wants his team to play. Both out of contract, I think, Cabango and Darling.
Paid a pretty penny for Darling, Russ Martin, didn't he, from MK?
And I just think that, I would have gone into this season and felt like Swansea would have been entertaining and quite free scoring, but concede quite a few. And it's almost as if the opposite has happened across the first couple of months of the season. So I think that's, again, like Sheffield United, keeping clean sheets and being so stingy defensively. I think that's been quite eye-catching for Swansea as well. So I'm going to go for Darling because he plays on the left-hand side as well. So, and I wanted the 2 Harrys side by side.
Right, I already know because he's told me that Sam's going to bury me for one of my picks here. But hear me out. I've gone for Dom Hyam of Blackburn because I wanted, pretty much like your Suter pick, I wanted to acknowledge John Eustace and a centre-back playing in a team that defends well and, can sit and head it, kick it. You always need that type of player, even if you're bloody Man City or Real Madrid or whatever. So he's experienced. He might be my captain as well, possibly. And I've gone for Alfie Jones, Sam, for the complete reason that to play centre-back, as you know, because you covered Norwich Hull, for Tim Volta, up on the halfway line, leaving all that space in behind, it's not going to be easy. I believe he's played every minute. I think it's a difficult task. His mate Jacob Greaves has obviously been sold, and they've obviously built stars at centre back before. And I just wanted to acknowledge that. And of course, Sam, we've only got 1 pick per team. So go on, away you go.
No, I would say I was going to say the least offensive of the Hull City defenders, but that's not the right terminology. He's the one that looks like he's got the least ricks in him, maybe currently.
Okay.
And obviously, I think earlier on in the season, he's had some good performances. It was McLaughlin who was taken off at half time the other day, and Hughes, if I can just have a look at the team, and Hughes that came on that, McLaughlin was not at it, but he's the one that's been asked to go into midfield. So he's got a bit of a hybrid role, which is it's challenging. Hughes came on and had a bit of a disaster. So, yeah, I mean, I've always admired him and I think they've been a really good pairing, as you speak on, Jones and Greaves. So I'm not going to give you too much stick, but I think in the aftermath of seeing that catastrophic back line for portions of that Norwich game, I wouldn't be having one in my team right now. But no, I think a good player and a good leader, and has been a massive part of Hull City's team the last few years. So yeah, not the most ridiculous, but it wouldn't be in my team.
Can I put, like on movie posters where they put the quote is not the most ridiculous. That's my endorsement today from Mr. Parkin. Right, Sam, in my central midfield, I've gone for Josh Brownhill of Burnley and Hayden Hackney of Borough. People are going to think I've just done it for the numbers because they've both been on the score sheet. I promise I haven't. I always like the idea of not having one sitter and one going forward. I like 2 who can do both. I think Brownhill's been vital for Burnley. A lot of squad churn. Here's a player you can pop in, championship ready, away you go. And he has been in the numbers. And Hackney, I know the likes of you and I and people that listened to our podcast will have been aware of him for the longest time, but now really, really getting noticed at Middlesbrough. So yeah, what are your thoughts on Brownhill and Hackney, and who have you got?
Yeah, well, I've gone like very hipster here with my two holders and my number 10. Yeah, I really like Hackney. I think he's quite an elegant player. So yeah, I wouldn't have too many complaints about that. However, I'm going for his midfield partner.
I knew
Aidan
you were
Morris.
going to,
Yeah, I'm going for Morris. I just think impact, impact of a player new to the league, can do both sides of the game. But to be honest, what's caught my eye is his range of passing, his technique, but he can do the other side as well. So for so long, Howson's probably been that player for Middlesbrough. So to pluck someone from relative obscurity in terms of the league he's come from, to put him straight in and to play every week and been so consistent and so comfortable. Again, it's probably been his ability on the ball that's caught my eye, his range of passing, quite an elegant footballer, but he can mix it as well. So looks like to be a terrific signing. And the other one I'm going in with, if I can jump the gun, I'm going with Adam Randall at Argyle.
You mentioned him a couple of pods ago about his impact there.
Well, he didn't play the first game. And obviously this position is going to be, I think, quite vital in the way Wayne Rooney wants to set his team up. And he's been asked to do a lot of work just in front of the back four, getting on the ball and progressing it up the pitch. And obviously got to be able to look after himself as well. And I don't think there's any fluke really that, it's not all down to him, because the front players have been really good as well. Obviously Sissoko's had a great impact, similar to that of, Morris at Middlesbrough for a comparison, someone who's come new into the league. But I think Randall's been really eye-catching in that role. And I'll have these two just sitting probably in this side. So I've got a lot of defensive solidity, I would say, considering I've already said my fullbacks aren't going to go forward. But I just think, the impact that he's having in a tough role and in a midfield which maybe doesn't have loads of options for players with tenacity and good game understanding and the want to kind of defend rather than get forward. I think he's providing a real balance. So I'm going for him in terms of new role, impact under a new manager, and right now, he's an automatic pick for them, and he wasn't that start of the season.
Yeah, I like what you've done. Actually, I've gone for two similar. You've gone for one and good balance. So all we've got left, Sam, is our number 10s. I really wanted to get this guy in. Will you allow me? I know he's been playing kind of off to the left. Will you allow me Gus Hamer as my Blades pick? And I'm going to play him at number 10, where, he would be fabulous anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like this has been the problem for both of us, the number 10, maybe the fullbacks as well.
Should have gone 3-4-3, both of us, shouldn't we?
Yeah, but then you got to put the extra centre half in. You don't want a third centre half, really, do you? If you
not in a representative team, no.
If you can avoid it. So yeah, again, I think I like the look of Aronson start of the season in terms of him coming back in at Leeds, the goal threat that he could bring, the energy. So I tipped him up to be big. Maybe he hasn't had the consistency yet, but I think Hamer absolutely will be in the conversation for Player of the Year.
Cheat code level for me, Sam.
Yeah.
Cheat code, yeah.
He's bum off seat as well, isn't he? Like in terms of the flair, the shooting from distance. He's a bit of a maverick, bit of a free spirit. But I think in the Championship, there's obvious names that roll off the tongue. Buendia, Taarabt, people
Grealish.
Yeah, that have ripped it up, that have got that swagger. He's got it. He's a difference maker. I love him as a player. Just obviously, I've gone for his teammate Suter at centre half, so I can't shoehorn him in.
Who have you gone for at 10, Sam?
I'm going Chris Rigg.
Love it.
I'm going with the universal name on everyone's lips, probably the people that don't watch the Championship as well. I don't think he's been maybe as outstanding as certainly Sirkin, or you could probably make a strong argument for Bellingham as well, the way he started. But I think given that he's 17, and he's
So
playing.
natural. It's easy for him, Sam. The game's easy.
He's playing every week. He scored that just sumptuous back heel, which I just loved. And he's just got that lovely language style, hasn't he? He can pass it. He can run with it. As you say, terrific awareness and technique in obviously the hurly-burly of the championship. So, yeah, he's a very, very clever player. And the old cliche, he just doesn't look his age. He doesn't look 17, does he, when he's on the ball? He looks like a seasoned pro. So he's going to be massive for them this year. They're going to do well to keep hold of him because I'm sure Premier League clubs will throw a bag full of cash and maybe loan him back. You know, that type of thing. He needs to be playing. He doesn't need to be going to, for my money, a massive Premier League outfit now and then.
Well, like Sessegnon did, and it all kind of fell off, didn't it?
Yeah, and maybe, I don't know what they do. You'd like to think he'd do the rest of the year, the rest of the season at Sunderland, and then, I don't know, they sometimes look to blood them in different European leagues as their next loan or something. I think it'd be great for him to try and get Sunderland, obviously, into the Premier League, and then we'll see. He could maybe do a year there. I always, champion that. It's always nice, isn't it, if they can have a run at it and play every week at their club before the big money move. But yeah, he's a player, and I just couldn't not get him in. I know, maybe he hasn't been eye-catching in every game. He certainly didn't have his best outing against Leeds, but yeah, I really like that Randall Morris rig. Average age of about 21 now, I would suggest.
So I think I've got to go Des Buckingham as my manager because I'm looking at the league table and I think I've got somebody from the entire top 9 in my 11. I'm quite happy with Buckingham. I think young manager, new to the league's done great things with Oxford so far. Got them in 10. So I'll go Des Buckingham. Who have you got a gap for here, Sam?
Yeah, I don't think I've got any apologies to make. I think I've got someone in from everywhere I want to go.
You could get Danny Roll.
No. I'm more than happy at this stage to take Tom Cleverley. He was going to be my assistant. He was going to be my assistant to Regis Lebris, was going to be my gaffer if I was allowed another Sunderland body. But I'll take Cleverley, and I'm seeing them at the weekend against Luton. And I'm just going to go purely on the fact that, he would have been one of the first managers tipped up to lose his job if it didn't go particularly well. We know how up and down it's been for the supporters and the uncertainty at the club. And listen, I read a lot of people tipping them up to struggle this season, and probably some supporters of the club felt that this
18th, I think, Sam.
Yeah, some of the supporters would have felt that this was, the easy appointment or an appointment that suited the hierarchy. But he's come in and he's got everyone on board. The lads seem to be playing for him. So I think absolutely I'm more than happy at this point, considering there's no one above them in the table, really. I mean, I think Burnley are maybe unfortunate in my team not to have someone in there. I thought about Perez at left back. I thought about Esteb, is it at centre half? Brownhill, obviously, but I just don't think they've been particularly convincing, have they, or that enjoyable to watch to this point. So, sorry, Burnley, but no one in today. But I'll take Cleverley.
There you go. That is mine and Sam's team of the season so far. Get involved in the comments. Some of you will have heard what we've just done over the last 28 minutes as a picking on a player from your club that you support that we haven't selected. If you've heard that, you're doing it wrong. What this is a celebration of players who are playing well. We do the one per club to try and mention. Obviously, then we can mention 12 teams and half the division, literally. So please, I always ask, don't get overly emotional and yell at us in the comments. We're trying to celebrate as many players as we can. It's not about who we've left out. And the answer to all your comments from me will be, okay, what's your 11? Who's your manager? Get involved. Let us know. Get the debate going. And let's make it positive as we look ahead to another 3-game week and a mouth-watering matchup. I'll never learn, Sam. I've put Leeds in a poll again. You know what happens when you put Leeds in a bloody poll, don't you? So here's the results for the poll. I'll show it on the screen so people don't think I'm making it up. And you can talk about whichever one you please, Sam. But 3% voted for Blackburn Swansea, which is an opportunity for two sides kind of, pushing for the top six to maybe beat a side in the top, in the same part of the table and, state a claim. 6% went for QPR Pompey, which is just massive if either side can get a win in that one. 13% went for I don't know what we call it, and we should know, Sam, being where we live and who you played for, but whatever the Luton v the M1 derby, can you call it that? Luton v Watford is 13%. But Sam, understandably, even with your Leeds tax, 77%, 7-7 went for Leeds Sheffield United. A giant game, Sam, on Friday night that I'll be covering on the watch along, where someone could make a big statement with a win in that one. We said that about Leeds Sunderland. We didn't get a decisive result. Do you want to talk about Leeds Sheffield United, Sam, and maybe just a little word on Luton Watford?
Yeah, two brilliant games. I mean, you wouldn't be surprised at all if we're sitting here in the end of May, the middle of June, if Leeds and Sheffield United are the top two. Yeah, I think we're still waiting to see exactly what Burnley are about, as I said a few moments ago. But yeah, these two teams are going to be challenging, no question. I think Sheffield United were probably a little bit underrated going into the season, but have made some really good signings. Still, maybe taking shape a little bit in the forward areas, playing around with one or two things. Chris Wilder, isn't he? But I'm sure going into this one, he'll come up with a plan, maybe different from what we saw last time out against Luton. I don't think it's going to be that easy to predict Sheffield United, maybe consistently as they were a few years ago, when you kind of knew what the team looked like, didn't you, when Chris Wilder had that previous success. So I think this is going to be a brilliant game on a Friday night as well. There'll be a lot of people who don't necessarily tune in for Championship games that will be across this one, given the size of the clubs, the proximity of the two clubs to each other, the fact that it's a Friday night. And we'll see how Leeds are looking. They got that creditable draw, didn't they, at Sunderland? I think they just dropped 2 points at home so far this season. Pompey. First time out.
Oh, no, they lost to Burnley, didn't they?
Lost to Burnley. Right, you are. But yeah, I suppose, again, something we spoke of a month ago was players that have been playing for their countries coming back. How easy is it going to be for Daniel Farke to get everyone back in one piece and be able to play his strongest side if people have been off travelling? So that's something to probably bear in mind a day or so before the game. But can't wait for it. I don't think you'd probably would you make Leeds favourites for this one just because of the home advantage?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'd probably take the draw. We'll do that later. But yeah, I think that's I think that's a tough assignment for Leeds if you consider the problems they've had with injuries in the last week or two. And Luton Watford, I suppose the most interesting thing will be 11:30 when we see the teams. Has Rob Edwards changed one or two things? How are they going to approach it? How are they going to arrest this slide? I think Watford made multiple changes, didn't they, after the Preston defeat? So I think both teams are quite difficult to predict. They could look quite similar in terms of the setups. Cleverly's been going with that back three. And there was a few players, I thought of for Watford about my 11. I think Pollock defensively has been getting a lot of plaudits. Chakvetadze in more forward areas has obviously been an eye-catching kind of playmaker at times this season. So I just noted here as we were just looking at this, 16 goals in Luton's games, 28 goals in Watford's games so far. So I don't know which way it would go. I think Watford, there's a little bit more variety, a little bit more mayhem. Difficult to predict the outcome of their games. They've had some outstanding wins, haven't they? Particularly at Vicarage Road. So therefore, I'd probably go for the low scorer here. I think this one will be tight. And similarly to how I felt Luton going into that Oxford game, they just need to win. They just need to win by any means, especially against a rival. So, this is a fierce rivalry, and what a way potentially for Luton to turn their season around at this early stage, and what a moment this would be for Tom Cleverley early on in his tenure at Watford if he could get one over the rivals.
There you go. Some brilliant matchups. And check out on my channel, because I've been at a couple of famous examples of these games, Sam. Luton fans won't thank me for reminding them. I was at a 4-0 win for Watford, where Luton lost their heads a little bit at the end of the game and went down to 10 men, and it all got a bit loose
Was that
in that one.
Was that not at the end of... Was that during COVID? I'm sure... No, it wasn't, was it?
No, stadium was open then.
I've seen a pretty abject Luton performance in the last couple of years at Watford. I think when Watford had Sarr and the like, maybe João Pedro, and they went down to a few. Maybe that was the same game.
I think that's the same game. Yeah, Nathan Jones was manager. I guess Slaven Bilic, but I can't tell that season who. Did Slaven Bilic replace Rob Edwards and then Chris? I can't remember. Like 4 managers that season. And Sam, I was at the infamous 2019 Basham arriving game. You said about Chris Wilder and a plan. It was Basham in midfield and who got the winning goal. And one of the standout moments from the promotion race was that moment as Basham went through, and you almost thought, "Oh, is that the power shifting from Bielsa to Wilder?" Really, really privileged to be there for that one. And we're really privileged to have you all listening to the Championship Check-In podcast each and every week. Now, remember, next week is another 3-game week. So Sam and I will be here on Monday with the predictions. No full show, too quick a turnaround, too much going on. We want to reflect on Thursday, which we will do for you. So predictions on Monday next week, full show on Thursday. And we're about to go ahead and record the predictions for this coming week. So loads of content coming up. Get involved, get in the comments, and we will see you for the predictions.